Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and today in the Prog Corner, we're doing something really exciting. We're talking about a non-prog album by a great band that means a whole lot to me. We're talking about Pixies today and their eighth album, Doggerel. I have been a fan of Pixies for a long time. I first heard them on a college radio station in Miami, Florida. WVUM was playing. I think they played a Broken Face or so. I didn't really like it. But then fast forward to the next year, they started playing Wave of Mutilation and some songs off Doolittle, and I was hooked, and I never looked back. I love Pixies. They're one of the greatest bands ever. They started in Boston. Actually, 1986, you got Frank Black, who's, his real name is not Frank Black, right? What is it? He's got a long name. It's ridiculous, but he was in college, University of Massachusetts at Amherst, where he met Joey Santiago. I guess they were roommates, and it's very interesting because they put an ad in Boston newspaper looking for a bass player, and they said they wanted somebody that was into Peter, Paul, and Mary and Husker Du. And the great Kim Deal answered the ad. She flew her sister in from Dayton, Kelly, to be the drummer, but Kelly wasn't feeling like she was good enough for the band, so she opted out, and they went with Dave Lovering, who was a friend of Kim's. I guess they met at Kim's wedding, actually. Why are we talking about Pixies on the Prog Corner anyway? Well, their connections to prog rock are maybe a little more tenuous than some of the other artists we cover here, but I don't care. Frank Black grew up listening to Captain Beefheart and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, so that's good enough to me. Dave Lovering, the drummer, is a big fan of Rush. Kim Deal was a big XTC fan. She's not with the band anymore. They've got a new bass player, Paz Lenchenton, and she played with a Perfect Circle, so that's pretty proggy if you ask me. So when Kim Deal left, people made a big deal about it, and I saw them on the Indy Cindy tour. People didn't like that album, but I did quite a bit. The history of this band is just littered with greatness. They've influenced so many people, from Nirvana, obviously. Kurt Cobain was very outspoken about his love for Pixies. David Bowie also was in that same camp. Weezer, Smashing Pumpkins, The Strokes, Arcade Fire, even Radiohead cites this band as an influence. Charles Michael Ketteridge Thompson IV is Frank Black's real name. Kind of I can understand why he changed his name, that's for sure. But, we're going to look at the new album, Doggerel, but we'll talk real briefly about their discography. They formed in 86, and in 87, they put out their first EP, Come On Pilgrim. The following year, Surferosa came out, the Steve Albini produced debut. Then Doolittle in 89, which is my favorite Pixies album. Bossa Nova in 1990, Trump Lamont in 91, and then they were done. They kind of reformed in 2004 for some live shows, and Kim Deal was happy doing that, but when it came time to do some new music, I don't think she was really interested in doing new Pixies music. So we fast forward to 2014, Indy Cindy comes out. I really like it a lot. Harkens back to old Pixies, but people really didn't enjoy that one. 2016, Head Carrier came out. That's my least favorite Pixies album, I will be honest. 2019, Beneath the Eyrie came out. That was a good record. But now we've got the new one, Doggerel, and it is definitely the best of the 4 reunion albums. I really do like this thing. We're going to talk real briefly about it and why I like it so much. It starts out with a song called No Matter Day, and the chorus is cool. Don't waste your time on me. A lot of the famous Frank Black talk singing's going on here. Real strong bass line that makes you think of, Gigantic or Debaser, one of those songs with that real strong bass line. And then it speeds up at the midway point, kind of goes through transition. It's really great. Vault of Heaven is the next song up, and it starts with a little gentle acoustic guitar, kind of morphs into some surf rock stuff. Dregs of the Wine was actually co-written by Joey Santiago, one of 2 songs that were co-written by him. It talks about my girl likes the original, You Really Got Me, but I prefer the Van Halen. It's got that traditional 3-chord Pixies progression where you expect there to be a 4th chord, and it just throws things off a little bit. Always a very interesting part of how Pixies put their music together. This song actually ends with a section of 13/8. So if you're questioning the prog credentials of this album, maybe that right there might have something to do with it. There's a song called Haunted House, which sounds real timely, being that it's right around Halloween. And then you get a song called Get Simulated. And this made me think, really made me think of Guided by Voices. And then I started reading about the creation story for this album. It actually began with Frank Black working with Bobby Bare Jr. from Guided by Voices, working on some demos. Although Bobby Bare does not get any songwriting credits here, I can definitely hear Robert Pollard and Guided by Voices influence on this track. And that's kind of cool because Pollard was definitely influenced by Pixies. So now we have Pixies being influenced by Guided by Voices. Very cool. Very cool indeed. And then he's talking about how his favorite rock and roll is Sealed with a Kiss. The Lord Has Come Back Today is the shortest song on the album. Closes out side 1. It's not particularly memorable. Side 2 starts out with thunder and lightning, and it's, Pixies trying to sound a little menacing. It's all right. Count the miles till the lightning turns to thunder is the chorus there. It's pretty good. There's a Moon On is probably the best song on here. It's kind of like a 50s rock and roll song. It's real old timey sounding. It's pretty great. The second Santiago Copen song, Pagan Man's up next. And it's got some really cool, unexpected chords. There's some whistling going on here. And this is where you can really hear that Frank's voice is starting to show its age as he tries to sing on this track. And not to great effect. Who's More Sorry Now? Kind of a Western meets a surf rock thing. It's all right. You're Such a Seducey is pretty cool. You're Such an Economy like Deuteronomy. His lyrics never make a whole lot of sense. And the album closes out with the title track. It's the longest song on here at 4 minutes and 39 seconds. So it's the epic of this album. And it starts out real funky with some bongos and stuff. But as the song goes on, kind of loses a little bit of momentum. But overall, this album is just a more mature version of Pixies, where Indy Cindy was really trying so hard to reclaim the sound and the spirit of old Pixies. The next 2 records, they really lost their way. But here we have Pixies doing what they do best, but they're not trying to be, the gritty punk rock oriented band of yore. They are more mature. They've grown up a little bit here. There's very little grit on this record. It is pretty straightforward. It's pretty straightforward rock album, indie rock album, but I like it. I like it a lot. So how am I going to score this new one from the Pixies? I'm kind of going between a 3.5 and a 4, but I'm feeling generous again today. So I'm going to give this thing 4 headphones. It's a good record. It's a really good record. It's not a great record. They'll never do another Doolittle or Bossa Nova. That's just not going to happen. That's a lot to ask for a band that's been around this long. But it is so good to have Pixies back. So good that they're putting out quality records. Because Beneath the Ivory from 2019 was actually a really good record. This one's even better. Is it better than Indy Cindy? I say it edges it out just a little bit for the best of the 4 reunion albums. But I also understand that I am in an extreme minority in my love for Indy Cindy. So I do like Doggerel. It's a good record and definitely a quality addition to the Pixies discography. Definitely pick it up if you like these guys. And even if you don't, every now and then you might want to listen to something besides prog rock all the time. I know I do once in a while. About 90% of my listening is prog. The other 10 is going to be other stuff. So, man can't live on prog alone. Anyway, you freaks are awesome. We're back up and running here. We're not going to be talking about all my problems and all my issues. We're just going to talk about music and let the chips fall where they may. Anyway, I am Scott. You are in the prog corner, and I love you very much.